السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له من يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان لكم رقيبا يا الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد إن أصدق حديث كتاب الله عز وجل وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها كل محدث في الإسلام بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise is due to Allah Azza wa Jal. We praise Him and we extol Him. And we send the finest of salutations out of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Pray the most truthful of speech is the Book of Allah, Quran Majid, and the finest guidance out of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The most evil affairs are newly invented ones, Bidah. And every newly invented matter in Islam is going astray, and every going astray leads to hellfire. Today, again, my dear Basalam Iman, I would like to speak about another Bidah alert in this blessed month of Muharram. Allah Tawfiq, and Allah Ta'ala light our success. many people will be wondering, why is it that the Ahl Sunnah, Ahl Hadith, they're always speaking about Bidah, always speaking about innovation, always warning against newly invented matters, because the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that this is one of the main reasons why a person will be get thrown on their face, on their nose into Jahannam. Nasal al-afiyah wa thabat. Alhamdulillah, as we all know that in Islam, or we should know that in Islam, that there are 4 sacred months: Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijj, Muharram, and Rajab. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in this book, Surah Al-Baqarah, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الشَّهْرِ الْحَرَامِ قِتَالٌ فِيهِ, that they ask concerning the sacred months and fighting therein. And Ibn Abbas has said that in all 12 months, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had chosen these 4 months to be sacred. And as such, they are greater in estimation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the other 12 months of the year, multiplying the reward for good deeds and multiplying the ithm, the sin for transgression during these 4 months. And the Arabs used to venerate these 4 months to the extent that if they were to even meet the killer of their father during these months, then he would not trouble him. So alhamdulillah, there be no matter iman that these 4 months are sacred in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of the Muslims worldwide. And as such, as people of iman, we must abstain from quarreling. We must abstain from fighting. And most importantly, we must abstain from all forms of bidah, innovation in the deen. Without a doubt, we must stay away from all acts of shirkiyat, associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what is bidah? Innovation, creating new things, bringing new ideologies into the deen is the gateway to shirk. That's why the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam put strong emphasis. Kullu bidatin dalala, wa kullu dalalatin finnar. All newly invented matters in Islam are going astray. And all going astray. All newly invented ideologies, matters are in the hellfire. So alhamdulillah, as people of iman, faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know that it is not possible for any of us to know all of the do's and don'ts of Islam. What Allah said, فَوْقُ كُلِّ ذُو الْعِلْمِ عَلِيمٌ. Above all of those who have knowledge is that individual who is more knowledgeable than you. As much as we know or have gained in terms of understanding about various aspects of Islam, we cannot know and understand everything in its entirety. And on top of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Hakim, is Al-Alim. Allah is the most wise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Hakim, knowing where to place things, where and when to place things. So it's not possible for us as people of Iman to know all of the do's and don'ts in Islam. We make our juhud, our effort to understand, to comprehend, and what's most important for us as people of Iman is to practice sem wa ta', that we hear and we obey. Not trying to say that it doesn't make sense, it's not understandable. Upon us is sem wa ta', we hear and we obey. I give a simple example of the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in choosing things. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had chosen this day, Jum'ah. All of the other days of the week are numbered. But Jum'ah has been given a name derived from al-jam, gathering. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hikmah. As such, on this auspicious day of Jum'ah, it is our weekly Eid, where we as Muslims worldwide, we appreciate this day of Jum'ah by doing what? Putting on our best clothes, clean clothes. If we work and we're doing whatever job we do during the week, we should at least take a full ghusl, bath, ghusl janaba, full ghusl, 1 day a week, which is on Yom al-Jum'ah. Wear our best clothing, or clean clothing, pressed clothing, perfume ourselves, for the men specifically, wear cologne, attar, fragrance ourselves. And the Rasul said we should take many steps to the masjid on Yom al-Jum'ah. And also, from Allah's hikmah, on this day of Jum'ah, is that there is a sa'al ijaba, waqt al-ijaba. There's a time period on this day of Jum'ah that any Muslim that makes dua, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them what they have asked for. And that time is in particular between Asr and Maghrib. Allahu Akbar. And Allah knows best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He chose Jum'ah as the day where He created our father Adam alayhi salam, biyadayh, with his 2 hands. And both of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands are right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His hikmah, He had chosen Yom al-Jum'ah to be the day that He created Adam on, and the day that Adam alayhi salam was expelled and his wife Hawa were expelled from Jannah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His hikmah, He chose Jum'ah to be the first day and the last day, the day when Yom al-Qiyamah will commence, which might be today, which would be a Friday. Why all of these events on Yom al-Jum'ah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And everything that I mentioned to you has been founded and based upon authentic ahadith. So what that said, my dear man, with that in mind, with that in front of us, what is the significance of these 4 sacred months in Islam? They should be used as a time of reflection, as tadabbur, that we think and reflect on the many aspects of Islam that fall within these 4 months out of the year. And the first thing we need to understand is, from Allah's hikmah, is that 3 out of the 4 months are together, and Rajab is standing alone in the middle of the calendar year. And Allah knows best. And there's ikhtilaf, differences of opinion amongst the ulama, the scholars, but the Rajab, the most strong opinion Ibn Kathir has stated, is that Rajab is in the middle of the month for those in the Arabian Peninsula who wish to travel to make the Umrah and to visit the Kaaba, that they can travel safely and return to their homelands safely in that month of Rajab. So we have to understand that there are many calendars throughout the world, and there are 4 main calendars that we as people in this part of the world, we agree and we use in our everyday lives. Alhamdulillah, there are the calendars that are known as the Chinese calendar. You have the calendar which is known as the Gregorian calendar, and we have the Jewish calendar, and we have the Islamic Hijri calendar. Alhamdulillah, that they number and they numerate their calendars according to their incidences that take place. And we start our calendar according to the day the Rasul Sallallahu and Abu Bakr Siddiq made hijrah from Mecca to Medina Munawwara. So that marks the Hijri, the start of the Hijri calendar. Walhamd. And alhamdulillah, as people of Iman, we appreciate the signposts and the symbols in our deen. And the most, as we know, widely used calendar around the world is the Greco-Roman or the Gregorian calendar. So the Christians, they mark this day as 2024, and we say CE, Christian era, and not AD, after death, because as people of Iman, we do not confirm or affirm that Isa ibn Maryam, he was crucified or killed. Alhamdulillah, we have this blessed month of Muharram as the beginning of our Hijri calendar, and it marks 1445 AH, after Hijri, when the Prophet ﷺ and his companion Abu Bakr as-Siddiq left the oppression and the persecution in Mecca Muharramah. And this, my dear Pastor Iman, is the point for us in this month of Muharram, that we should take time out of our schedules and read and learn of the seerah of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he called Muharram the month of Allah, because there are many things that we can take advantage of in this month. But the first and foremost thing that we need to understand is that we need to avoid Bidah at all costs. And firstly, one of the main and well-known aspects of innovation that take place in this month of Muharram, and we need to understand this, my dear Brother Iman, that there are many aspects of Bidah that are taking place in this month of Muharram. For starters, the death of, or the martyrdom of Al-Hussein in Karbala in Iraq. The Shia, they use this and they take advantage of this so that they make the pilgrimage every year to that site after the Hajj pilgrimage. Also, many Muslims during this month, they will start to wear black clothing. They will be wearing black clothing at the sighting of the new moon of Muharram. Whereas the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has stated in the Sunnah, the best clothing to wear is the white clothing. The best clothing for the living and for the dead is to wear white clothing. Also, they will have a lot of free mixing during this time period, and as so as to venerate the death of Al-Hassan and Hussein. So you'll see them wearing dark colored clothing, black colored clothing, and beating themselves on their chest and on their face and wailing, showing as a sign of humility. They would use whips and the chains and beat themselves, and use these knives to beat and cut themselves, and they would do this while fasting in the month of Muharram. They do this, and they do this barefoot, walking around, beating themselves, chanting, and they do this as a sign of piety. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. All of these acts, my dear Muslim Iman, are in clear violation to the Sunnah. The Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had stated, "Taraktakum ala baydan naqiyyin, laylaha kanahariha, la yazigh anha ila halik." That I have left you all on a clear, bright road. Its day is like its night. No one deviates from this straight path except they're destroyed. So who likes it, like it. Who does not like it, we should not feel sorry for them. Because the sunnah is pure, mutahhara. We should not feel sorry for them. As a lot of us say, I feel sorry for them. Those who choose dalala over hidayah, we don't need to feel sorry for them. Because none of those acts have been sanctioned in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. For those of us who choose to follow the sunnah, then we're blessed. Those of us who choose to stand on the sunnah, then they are blessed. And what is the sunnah? The sunnah is sunnah qawliya, sunnah fa'aliyah, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ's speech, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ's actions, and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ's approvals. None of those things that you see the innovators that they innovated to the deen, especially during these blessed times of Muharram, are sanctioned by the sunnah in his speech, actions, or approvals. Khair hadi hadi Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We need to keep this in mind, that mourning for the death of any of us, fawqa thalatha, more than 3 days, is against the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Clear sunnah that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had stated. It's human to shed a tear for the death, as the Prophet ﷺ did when his son Ibrahim passed away. They seen him cry. He said, this is rahmah. This is mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts into the hearts of his slaves. Only for the widow, it's permissible for her to mourn for 3 months and 10 days. The widow for her husband. So for anyone to innovate this beating and wailing and moaning and fasting and beating their faces and their chests as a sign of piety is a clear violation to the sunnah. Remember, my dear Basal and Iman, we don't need to feel sorry for them. We are happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us to the sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us attached to the sunnah. Amen. Bismillah, salatu salam, ala Rasulullah, wa ala alihi, wa ashabihi wa ba'd. For those who are coming in late, the topic of today's khutbah was regarding Bidah in the blessed month of Muharram. And we know from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that the Prophet ﷺ has said that Muharram is the month of Allah. And there are many sanctified and legislated acts that we can do in this month. And know that the deeds are multiplied, whether they're good or bad, during this month. So we should make more adhkar. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. Give acts of charity. For what I think sadaqah, smiling in the face of your Muslim brethren, is also an act of kindness and charity. In closing, we need to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made these 4 months sacred. Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijj, Muharram, and Rajab. Why these specific months have been called upon by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the sacred months, Allah Alam. Remember, Fuq Kullu Dhul Ilm Alim. Above everyone who has knowledge, who has acquired knowledge, there is someone who's more knowledgeable than they are. So we need to be humble, and we need to humbly stick to within the framework of the Sunnah, the Quran and the Sunnah, authentic Sunnah, and do not innovate in the deen. In closing, there's a hadith in Ibn Majah that a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, which fasting is better by Ramadan, after the month of Ramadan? The Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he said, the month of Allah, Muharram. Also in Sahih Bukhari, Ibn Abbas reported that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ came to Medina Munawwara. When he came to Medina Munawwara, he witnessed the Yahud fasting. He said, why are you fasting? He inquired from the Yahud, the Jews in Medina. Why are you fasting? This is something, my dear Muslim man, to give us izzah. That when we see people doing their acts of worship or veneration, whether they're Muslim, whether they're Jew, whether they're Christian, whether they're Sikh, Hindu, we shouldn't be shy to ask them, why are you doing what you do? For what reason? Because 9 times out of 10, they don't know. Most people don't know why they do what they do until we ask them that inquiry question. Why are you doing what you do? Why are you wearing a thread around your arm? Why are you doing what you do? What is the benefit? Well, how does it help you? What type of worship is it? But we're afraid. We don't want that question. Why? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. The Prophet ﷺ, when he arrived into Medina, he asked the Yahud, the Jewish people, why are you fasting? He found them fasting. He asked them, why are you fasting? He said, we are fasting to venerate. This was the day that Musa alayhi salam was rescued from his adu, Pharaoh. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rescued Musa and his people and drowned the Pharaoh and his people. The Prophet ﷺ said, we are more in line with Musa. We are closer in affection to Musa than you are. With Izzah. So the Prophet ﷺ, he fasted on the 10th of Muharram. We, as Muslims, we have to understand that the Prophet ﷺ said, if I live to see the next year, then I will fast a day with it. To khalifan al-Yahud, to be different than the Yahud. So, my dear brothers and man, we are blessed to be in this blessed month of Muharram. But let us stick to the Sunnah. And inshallah, if we live to see the 10th of Muharram, let us be different from the Yahud. Fast the 9th and the 10th, or the 10th and the 11th, because there are various degrees to fasting. As Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen has stated that there are 3 degrees to fasting on the 10th of Muharram. We can fast the Tasya, the 9th and the 10th, which is 1 degree, or the 10th and 11th, which is another degree. Or we can fast the 9th, 10th, and 11th to be different from the Yahud. And what is the reward? The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said if we were to fast just that day, the 10th of Muharram, our previous year's sins will be obliterated, will be wiped out. Just fasting 1 day, the 10th of Muharram, our previous year's sins will be obliterated. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to reach that day of the 10th of Muharram and to be able to fast on the 10th of Muharram. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the people of the Sunnah the tawfiq to be able to fast a day with it, to be different from the Yahud. Ameen. Inna Allah wa malaikum sallallahu ala nabi. Ya ladina amanu. Salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala Ibrahim. Innaka hamidun majid. Allahumma barak ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala Ibrahim. Innaka hamidun majid. Ya Rab, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. Help our dear brothers and sisters who are struggling in Afghanistan. Ya Rab, help our brothers and sisters who are struggling in Kashmir. Ya Rab, help our brothers and sisters who are struggling in the Gaza Strip. Ya Rab, help them and give them the nasr, the help and support. Aziz Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ameen, Ameen.